Rain poured heavily over the city, turning the streets into rivers of reflection. Amelia stood outside the tall glass building, her clothes soaked through, her small hands clutching a worn envelope. Her heart pounded in her chest as she looked up at the sign that read Warren Enterprises. It wasn't courage that brought her here, it was desperation. Her mother was dying, and the hospital wouldn't continue treatment without payment. "Please," she whispered to the guards at the gate. "I just need to speak to Mr. Warren." One of them shook his head. "Mr. Warren doesn't meet anyone without an appointment." "But my mother, she's in the hospital. I need a job. Anything, please." Before she could finish, the tall glass door swung open. A man stepped out, holding a dark umbrella against the rain. His black suit was crisp, his face unreadable. It was Ethan Warren, the city's most powerful billionaire, known for his ruthless business style and cold heart. His gray eyes lingered on Amelia for a moment. "Mr. Warren," she called out, her voice trembling. "Please, I need your help. My mother's dying. I just need a chance to work." He didn't answer at first. The sound of rain filled the silence between them. Then, calmly, he said, "You shouldn't be here." He started to walk past her, but her next words stopped him cold. "You already destroyed one life in my family," she cried out. "Are you going to let another one die?" Ethan froze, turning slowly. "What did you say?" "My father died working for your company," she said, her voice breaking. "In that factory explosion 5 years ago. You called it an accident, but it wasn't. He never came home." For the first time, his expression shifted, just slightly. Something flickered behind those gray eyes. "Guilt, maybe. Or pain. Come tomorrow morning," he said finally. 8 o'clock. "My assistant will tell you what to do." Before Amelia could respond, he walked away, leaving her drenched but hopeful for the first time in weeks. The next morning, Amelia arrived at the Warren estate, an enormous but quiet home tucked behind black iron gates. She was greeted by silence. Ethan was waiting in his study, reading through documents. Without looking up, he said, "You're punctual." "That's good." She nodded nervously. "You said I could work?" "You'll take care of the garden and kitchen. Payment every 2 weeks," he said plainly. "And you'll live here. It's easier that way." Her voice trembled. "I can't leave my mother. She needs me." He set his papers down. "A doctor will be sent to her hospital today. Don't ask who paid. Just focus on your job." "Why would you do that for me?" she asked softly. He looked up for the first time, his eyes sharp. "Because I owe your family a debt I can never repay." Amelia didn't understand, but she didn't argue. That evening, she called the hospital and learned that a private doctor had indeed arrived, someone who said his expenses were already covered. Her heart ached with confusion. Ethan Warren was known as the man who never cared for anyone. So why was he helping her? Days passed quietly. Amelia worked tirelessly, cleaning, cooking, planting flowers in the garden. She rarely saw Ethan, but she noticed how lonely the house felt. One night, she heard something, a soft sound of crying coming from upstairs. She followed the sound and stopped at an open doorway. Inside, dust covered the shelves, and on the wall hung an old portrait of a smiling woman and a little boy. Suddenly, Ethan's voice came from behind her. "What are you doing here?" She turned quickly. "I heard someone crying." "There's no one here," he said sharply. Then his tone softened. "That room is off limits." But as he turned to leave, Amelia saw something she hadn't seen before, a tear sliding down his cheek. That night, she overheard him talking on the phone in his study. His voice was heavy. "No, I don't want to talk about the fire again. She's gone, and nothing will bring her back." Amelia realized he wasn't as cold as he pretended to be. There was pain buried deep beneath that polished exterior. A week later, she went to his office, her hands trembling. "Mr. Warren, I know you paid for my mother's treatment." He didn't respond. "Why hide that you helped us?" she asked. "You don't have to pretend you don't care." He slammed his pen on the desk. "Because I don't deserve thanks, Amelia." Her breath caught. "What do you mean?" He looked up, his voice breaking. Your father didn't die because of a malfunction. He died saving someone, my mother. The explosion started in her section of the plant. He pulled her out before the second blast. Amelia's eyes filled with tears. So he saved her life. Ethan nodded slowly, and she didn't survive the next explosion anyway. I lost her, and he lost his life because of me. Amelia stepped closer. You've been living with guilt all this time. He turned away, unable to meet her eyes. Now you know the truth. Maybe now you'll hate me as much as I hate myself. But before she could respond, the next morning, everything changed. Headlines flooded the news. Ethan Warren accused of stealing millions from his charity foundation. Camera flashes surrounded the gates. Reporters shouted questions. Ethan stood motionless, surrounded by chaos. It's a setup, his lawyer said. But they have documents, fake but convincing. By evening, the police arrived. Ethan didn't fight it. He simply said, "Truth doesn't matter when the world wants a villain." As he was led away in handcuffs, Amelia stood helpless at the window. Her heart screamed that he didn't deserve this, not after what he'd done for her mother. She went back to the office building that night, breaking past security to confront his business partner, Gavin Holt, the same man who'd worked with him for years. "You did this, didn't you?" she said, her voice shaking. "You framed him like you caused that factory fire years ago." Gavin smirked. "You really think the world cares about truth?" Ethan takes the blame because he's the name on the door. Her fists clenched. "You destroyed my father's life, and now his." He leaned back lazily. "Sweetheart, no one believes orphans, especially those who defend billionaires." She smiled faintly and pulled out her phone. "They will when they hear your confession." She had recorded everything. The next day, in court, Amelia stood trembling as the judge played the audio clip of Gavin confessing to the fraud and the fire cover-up. The courtroom fell silent. Ethan's eyes found hers across the room. Gratitude and something deeper filled them. When the verdict was read, clearing him of all charges, reporters swarmed Amelia. "Why defend a man who destroyed your father's life?" one asked. She smiled softly through her tears. "Because he didn't destroy it. He honored it by saving another life when he didn't have to." Months passed. Amelia's mother recovered fully. She opened a small clinic for struggling families, funded anonymously by Ethan. One evening, Amelia saw him standing outside the clinic, hands in his pockets, watching quietly. "You can come in," she said softly. "You don't have to hide anymore." He smiled faintly. "You both deserve peace. I've had my share of ghosts." Amelia shook her head. "You gave us hope, Mr. Warren. That's not something ghosts can do." He looked at her for a long moment. "You gave me forgiveness, Amelia. That's something even money can't buy." As he turned to walk away, she called out, "Wait. Don't you want to know what my mother said when she found out who saved her?" He paused. She said maybe God sent an angel in a suit. For the first time, Ethan laughed, softly, genuinely. "Tell her, the angel's still learning how to fly." And as he disappeared into the night, the rain began to fall again. Only this time, it felt like a blessing instead of storm. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.